Hello. Thank you all for coming. If you're here for focusing in a distracted world, you're in the right place. Hello, Forward.js. My name's Larry Gordon. I'm a creative engineer. I have a large passion for user experience, and I deal with distractions all the time. Everyone deals with them, but in my particular case, I do have ADHD. I found out a couple of years ago that I do have this, and when I found out about it, it really explained a lot of things in my life that I thought were just like eccentric or weird. It turned out that there was a reason for everything. But one of the interesting things about it is that with distraction, it actually becomes a lot more difficult for me to manage things. And so the last couple of years, I've spent a lot of time trying to just kind of deal with these things. So there's a bunch of different types of distractions. There's internal and external distractions. With internal, you have things like thoughts, emotions, discomfort or pain that you may be feeling, hunger, or you could just be plain tired, not sleeping enough. With external, you've got digital notifications. That could be stuff coming from your phone calls, instant messages, things like that. With OS X, you've got desktop notifications and things, emails, people just coming up to you and distracting you. Clutter on your desk, clutter on your computer, your desktop. Maybe you can't find things, just distractions. Some of you may think, it's with all this stuff, it's I don't think I can do it. Well, just when you think that you don't think you can do it, solutions are within reach. So, for me to really kind of get involved in just trying to figure out all these problems, it really took a lot of self-reflection and a lot of mindfulness. And so, in order to kind of reframe this talk a little bit more, I wanted to be really practical and take you through some of the use cases of things that I had problems with and kind of the steps that I took to actually solve them, especially with the short amount of time that we have. And so, identifying areas that I would like to change, one of the ones that I picked was, what's the most important task that I should be doing right now? With getting distracted, that usually just goes by the wayside pretty easily. It's shiny ball pops up, red balloon pops up, you're oh, you go start chasing it. Later to realize it's oh wait, I was supposed to be doing something else. Knowing when to say no and knowing how to follow through with it was a really big, important key skill that I ended up learning. Having trouble getting to work at a consistent time without feeling rushed. It's I live in the East Bay and commute over to San Francisco, and sometimes I'd ride my bike and be all sweaty and just be flustered by the time I get to work. And really, it's what I wanted was to just get to work, be relaxed, be calm, not sweaty, just be able to just chill out and just kind of get my work done and start my day off right. Not letting social networks suck up my time. Before social networks came out and Facebook and all that, things were really easy. I just did a bunch of other things. But now that everything's at your fingertips, instant access, it's really difficult to kind of push that away and not get sucked into those things. Building a better routine. I think I got through the majority of my life having really good routines set up, not losing my keys and things like that. It's having a set routine where I knew that, I could place something somewhere and I was consistent about it and I didn't have to think about it. Finding a quiet time at work. So with open workspaces and everyone being really collaborative, it's really difficult to actually find that quiet time so that you can actually get the chunk of time that you need to concentrate to actually get the work done that you need. And one of the last things was just kind of rewarding myself often. It turns out that you set big goals and stuff like that, and it's rewarding yourself often just kind of helps reinforce and just helps you, I don't know, just feel better about the things that you're doing, right? And lastly, just kind of like finding out what makes me thrive. Taking time over the years, just really honing down like what is it that makes me happy in life. So I'm going to go into these a little bit more in depthly. What's the most important task I should be doing right now? Using timers to break myself out of what I'm doing. So controlled distractions. So some people will set 30-minute timers and this and that to basically just kind of break themselves out of the context of what it is that you're doing. I've been using a great app called Do for iOS and Mac, and one of the nice things about it is that you can set it to remind you, but it won't go away. Like, it'll keep reminding you every minute until you actually dismiss it, which for me was really helpful because a lot of times I would see a notification, and because it just kind of blurs together with all the other notifications, it doesn't become as important. And because it just kind of keeps going every minute, then I start to realize, okay, wait, there's really something else going on here. It's like I need to break out of what I'm doing and actually pay attention. Which kind of goes with this. It's like, once I actually break out of that mode, it's like, stop what I'm doing, take a step back, and ask myself, is this something that I should be really doing right now? If not, observe my feelings and surroundings and understand why I'm actually doing this task. Because, some things may be done based out of, anxiety, and, I never knew, I really had anxiety. I just thought it was just energy, And, once I actually, took a deeper understanding, it's like, oh, no, wait, there's some tasks that I'm actually doing that are actually anxiety-driven. It's like, I got to get this done right now. It's like, this is the most important thing. It's like, I got to get this done. And you feel this energy to go and, complete this thing. And if you take a step back and try to, observe your feelings and try to actually really kind of understand what your body is trying to tell you, you'll tend to find that you're actually learning a lot about why you're trying to do something. If the task is important, put it in my task manager. It's so that I know that it's something that I should be doing. Find the task I should be working on again and begin on it. And so, if I did find myself being distracted, it's like, okay, well, set that aside, put it in the task manager, and just get back on task. Then rinse and repeat. Just kind of keep doing this process over and over again until I start getting better at it. Knowing when to say no and following through with it, that was always kind of a really big thing. For me, I really love being helpful. I'm always really helpful at work. And sometimes helping others can conflict with the actual task that I'm trying to do. But if it's really important, it's I need to discuss it with management or my supervisor or scrum master or project manager, whoever the case may be, because someone's still expecting the task that I need to do to still be done. And so if another thing comes in and it's important, discuss it and then reprioritize the task against my current list of things that I need to do. It's really important because you need to set up expectations, It's very easy to fall into a space where it's you could be doing a bunch of things that are really useful and really helpful, but because other people don't know about it, you end up looking bad. And so it's almost kind of like a cover your ass situation. It's kind of weird, but it really does work. It's you document things, use task managers like Jira or Pivotal Tracker or anything like that. Use those things to your advantage because they're there to help you and protect you. It's not also just about saying no to other people. It's also about being able to say no to yourself, because distractions can come up and you can wander off to do something, but knowing when to actually just take a moment, step back, and telling yourself, no, you know what, I shouldn't be doing this right now, is really valuable. So having trouble getting to work with, on a consistent time without feeling rushed. Started to time myself. It turned out that I was actually losing time. I wasn't spatially aware of the amount of time it was taking for me to do certain mundane tasks. So when did I wake up? How long does it take me to get ready in the morning? How long does it take me to leave my apartment and grab my bike? How long does it take me to ride my bike to BART? What time do I get to BART? How crowded is it? Can I get my bike on BART at this particular time? And I ended up actually building this huge list of the length of trains, the time it would show up at the BART station, and which train was full and which train wasn't full. I actually ended up finding out that other people have very similar patterns, and certain trains at certain times, people like to get on at like in a certain part of the train. And so I started noticing those patterns, and I was able to kind of like trick the system and figure out like, oh, you know what, I don't have to worry about getting on this train. I can just jump on the next one, and I can jump on the third train from the front and know that I can get on. How long is my BART ride? How long is my bike ride to work from BART? And then also realizing through that whole process, getting to work and getting home, which is kind of like the reverse trip, actually doesn't equate to each other. It turned out that getting back home actually took an extra 15 minutes longer. And that ended up being because, you know what, like whenever I'm done at work, I'm like, hey, you know what, I gotta close my laptop down, I gotta pack my stuff up, I gotta go down and get my bike, I gotta avoid any distractions from people and things that come along the way. And it turned out that that was actually taking an extra 15 minutes. So like realizing those things, like, and actually time tracking every single one of those things really helped me kind of understand and readjust my schedule so that, you know what, like I'm showing up just at the nick of time. I want to show up 30 minutes earlier. Now I know how to adjust everything else, and I can easily tell like when I'm off schedule. Not letting social networks suck up all of my time. So this is a little video of stuff that I do like when I'm on the BART. I do certain things like social networks as like microtasks because I know that I can go and do these things very quickly, and I have to get off the BART train, so I have to stop what I'm doing. So it's, you know, whether I'm waiting in line or whether I'm just kind of like doing something like really simple just for a few minutes, I do these things like going through my Twitter feed. I know that I don't necessarily have to read everything, but there's certain things that I do want to read. And in order to kind of like quickly curate those, I send it over to Pocket, and I have a number of tags. Oh, wait, it's not even showing. Oh, that's a shame. That's a bummer. Well, I guess that makes more sense now. So basically, you know, going through the list and curating these tags and stuff, and I started actually saving more time because I had so many tags. There's certain ones that I noticed that I was doing more often. I would put an underscore in front of those so that they would be at the top of the list, so I could just quickly hit those. And that actually ended up saving me like a few seconds of time, and that kind of starts to add up after a while. I won't go through this whole thing, but like this is basically just kind of like going through that process of me just kind of pruning and curating and how I go through information like really super quickly. Building a better routine was like really crucial for me because trying to build a routine and sticking to it is really crucial like whenever you deal with distractions. So I used all the time tracking stuff that I was taking, all the notes and stuff that I was taking, and actually like built it out like into my calendar and actually put meeting events in my calendar so that everything was literally blocked off. So every open free time, Monday through Friday, like had time accounted for. And if there wasn't time accounted for it, I would actually go and block that time out. I would block that time out and actually use like work time, like I need to be coding during this time. So in the end, it's like I actually had no free time left. So now it's like I could easily look at my calendar and know when I was off my routine. I could see if I was 5 minutes late or 10 minutes late. I could easily predict like if I was going to be late to a meeting or late to work based off of the amount of time that it took for me to like travel. And I was actually really spot on with my estimates at that point. If I noticed that I was consistently off based off of a pattern, I would just readjust my calendar and everything would be okay. And then after like rinsing and repeating it, like it actually ended up becoming a habit, and then I didn't have to really worry about it anymore. Finding quiet time at work can often be like something that's really hard or difficult to try to like get a hold of. Like, you know, you've got agile methodologies, you've got, you know, a bunch of meetings that are planned at the beginning and the end of your sprints. You've got like backlog grooming, sprint pre-planning, all this stuff. You have a lot of these meetings and stuff that just kind of build up over time. And so I started to take some observations about like, well, you know, what are some quiet times at work? I noticed that people weren't really there before 8:30, of course, and people like, and even though the office was really busy after 4, it got really quiet. I adjusted my routine so that I could get to work earlier and leave work a little bit earlier, because being at work at like 6:30 in the morning actually allowed me to get a ton of stuff done. There was nobody there. It was really relaxing. Commuting actually got quicker because there were less people involved that I had to compete with, and I ended up becoming super productive. I made it a rule to, like, you know what, don't worry about external distractions, don't worry about checking email or social networks or web surfing in the morning, and just work on my toughest tasks that were required in the morning, because it turned out that, like, you've got more energy, you've got more brain power in the morning. So you would think that, like, you know what, I can plow through a lot of the easy tasks first. It's actually better to actually plow through the toughest tasks first, when you have the most energy, and then kind of worry about the rest of it later, because the easy stuff, that stuff is going to come easy. You're going to want to do those things. Those things are just not a problem to do. Noise-canceling headphones started to help me out a lot, because I could actually block out external conversations, especially in open office workspaces. That really helped out a lot. Negotiating with my manager on a better place to sit. So being a lead, I was being asked to do a lot of things. And so because of that, like, I was sitting in the middle of this like 6 different rows of desks. And because I was like right in the middle of it, I was easily accessible. Everyone knew I was there. People were constantly coming up to me, asking me little side questions all the time that normally they probably wouldn't ask me. So eventually, I was able to negotiate moving to a corner seat a little bit away. Half the time, because I had my monitors and I slink really low in my seat, no one knew I was in the office. And it turned out that it's like a lot of those little conversations and questions just kind of stopped, or they would like instant message me about it. And so at that point, like, I could then start to control the flow of information, right? It's like it was digital at that point, and I could suck it in at certain points, and manage that a lot easier. I worked on getting recurring meetings moved so that it doesn't break up the day as much. You know, it really sucks is, like, you go and you have like 30 minutes of stand-ups that you have to be involved in the morning, and then you get like 45-minute break, and then you have a meeting, and then you get like another like 30 to 45-minute break, and then you got lunch, and then you come back and you're like, oh, I'm tired or whatever, but like, I got to get some work done. And you got like about an hour or so you're trying to get back into work, and then you got another meeting. You're great, okay, go to that meeting. And after that meeting, it's like, okay, it's coffee time now. And then after you get some coffee and you're ready to go, it's like 4 o'clock, and you're like, oh, it's almost time to go home. So like, I was noticing that was happening a lot at work, pretty much almost every single day. So I negotiated with my managers, like, you know what, can we move the bulk of these meetings to like just this one day? And it turned out that it worked out really well, because everyone else hated, you know, going to all those meetings. So I knew that, like, you know what, Monday, this is like my Monday meeting day, and I'm not going to get jack done. It's like, I'm just going to sit in meetings all day and participate in those type of things. I also was able to kind of like institute, you know what, like, through the company, it's like, you know what, let's not actually have any meetings on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, because it's not just me that has issues, right? It's like all the other developers are noticing productivity issues. And it was really helpful for them and for the company to know. It's like, you know what, don't schedule meetings during these days, because these are the days that we're really heads down, and we're really trying to concentrate on trying to like crank some stuff out. And like I said earlier, you know, blocked off the rest of my free time on my calendar as like work time for myself. And what that allowed me to do was that if someone really wanted to schedule something with me, they would have to kind of come by and ask me first, you know, because they would go and realize it's like, hey, your calendar is really booked. You know, can we have a meeting at this particular time? And then that way, it's like it was easier for me to push back and actually push a meeting to a particular day or a particular time, so that my day wasn't quite broken up as much, and I can actually have longer periods of time that I can concentrate. Rewarding myself often. Trying to create a new routine is really tough. Making long-term goals is like really awesome, but sometimes it's really kind of hard to achieve those. Deciding a reward for when that larger goal is complete is like really great when you're defining that long-term goal, so that you're like know what to look forward to. But also making shorter-term goals, like taking the larger thing and splitting up into smaller pieces. and deciding on a reward for those short-term goals. Like for me, it's like I love ice cream, I love like cake and cupcakes and stuff like that. So I would get like a tougher task, break it down into smaller achievements, and once I made those achievements, I'd reward myself for like 10 minutes and be like, hey, I'm gonna eat some ice cream. And take the moment to take the time to like actually reward yourself and make sure you enjoy it. Because the great thing about that is that those hard tasks that are difficult to do, like whenever you reward yourself, you're actually kind of like retraining your brain to like enjoy that more. And the more that you kind of like build those experiences, the more that just kind of like gets ingrained into the way that you are, and helps build up a positive experience. Finding out what makes me thrive, like observing my patterns. For a while, like I was doing different types of jobs that I didn't quite really like, and I didn't really understand like why it was until I actually started looking at my pattern over the years and trying to understand like, what it was that made me energetic about things and what it was that like, brought me down and that I had a hard time struggling with. Could I find a job doing that particular thing that made me like really energetic and that I thrived? Or could I just make adjustments in my current job to make me happy? Like overall, like, change is difficult and it won't be easy, but I kept telling myself like not to give up, like keep pushing forward, like no matter like what happens. And, over time, things started to get a lot easier. I was able to like take a look at all the hard stuff that was really difficult for me to do and really kind of focus on those things to like really overcome them and help me exceed and excel. And so that's it. Thank you.